Hey guys, Camfree15 back at it with another video for you guys, back with another One Piece anime episode review for you guys. As I'm talking about the back-to-back episodes of One Piece, which is episodes 1043 and then episodes 1004 and did I say 43? What the hell? Episode 1093 and episode 1094. My goodness, what the hell? Yes, we're back with egghead stuff after the break like 3 weeks ago. So last week covered Trafalgar Law versus Blackbeard, which was a hype episode. Like the animation went hard. And then this week we kind of shifted back to what happened with Luffy after after this police Kuma was attacking them. And then we catch up with the other Straw Hats. So let's talk about episode 1093 first. And that was really Trafalgar Law versus Blackbeard. We all know, like about 4 weeks ago, we had the Blackbeard pirates basically coming after the Heart pirates and basically trying to challenge Trafalgar Law. And we all know what Blackbeard does when he sees strong devil fruit users. He tries to steal their devil fruit. But we also get later revealed in this episode, you would have to think he's also trying to not only get Trafalgar Law's devil fruit, probably. It's clearly obvious he's going after the road poneglyph scans that Trafalgar Law has, because Blackbeard does ask Law, like, hey, how many scans you got, or what you got after you left Wano, essentially. You clearly have something in pertains to the road poneglyph, because Kaido must have had it. So yes. Anyways, we kind of start the episode off where the Heart Pirates are trying their damnedest in the water in their submarine to try to get away from the Blackbeard pirates. But because Blackbeard's using his Quake devil fruit to make shifts in the water, they're not able to escape. So basically they have to come up top, and they have to basically, in a weird way, kind of have to try to run, but try to like stall and get away far enough so then they can probably fight Blackbeard. Now, the funny instance we get in this episode, which is I guess the funny gag of this episode, we have it to where basically we get a gender swap. Most of Law's crew, if not all of them, they all basically turn into girls with their guys. So listen, if you wanted to see how female Trafalgar Law looks like, well, here you go, right then and there. You get your fan servicey moment here with female Trafalgar Law. So I don't know if I can't really say anything. I'm not gonna say anything. Jeez Louise. It was a funny scene. So it was a funny scene. Now we find out the person who did this was Doc Q. He uses disease fruit to basically turn them all into females. So you have to wonder if eventually at some point, whenever we get the Straw Hats versus the Blackbeard pirates, you have to wonder if we're gonna get this for the Straw Hat pirates, where maybe you have it to where Doc Q turns all the male characters into girls, and then turns like Robin and Nami into males. That's going to happen. I feel like Oda wouldn't do that for a reason. He's gonna do that at some point, which would be very funny, because I always see like these these just fan arts of like, oh, what if the characters would look like if they were female characters and everything. So that's kind of the thing right then and there, which again, it was a funny scene. You kind of have it to where all of them turn into freaking chicks, but then due to Trafalgar Law overriding that with his hockey, he used a big mass output of hockey, and it ended up turning them back into guys. So they basically come up to land. They're running away, but you see it to where the Blackbeard pirates are after them. You have it to where Jesus Burgess, what is it? He ends up like damn near like cutting this mountain in half and throws it at them because he's got the strong fruit. So that's pretty crazy. We see it to how Van Augur, he has the warp fruit, which he can basically teleport wherever he wants to. I'm guessing wherever he can See, and he's also a sniper too, so clearly that's going to be Usopp's matchup against the Blackbeard pirates, clearly because he's a sniper, Usopp's a sniper. It's clearly obvious what direction they're going to do and what they're going to set up right then and there. Maybe I feel like honestly Burgess is probably going to go up against Frankie now that we're looking at it. It makes sense. I'm either thinking it's going to be Frankie or Jimbe, maybe Sanji, but I don't think so that's the case. Also, I don't know if I mentioned this in the last time we saw Burgess, but he has like the metal face because freaking Sabo uses Dragon Claw and crushed the ever living you know what out of his face. So his face looks like half robot basically. But Law uses his room to cut the mountain in half and split them into many pieces. And then basically you just have it to where Blackbeard's just writing on stronger and basically just is like, all right, Law, give me what I want. I know you got the poneglyph scan, so I need that. And basically you have it to where Law is like, well, I'm not actually gonna do that. And actually too, since this is a pirate battle, it's when winner takes all essentially. So he uses his room again, his re-room, and he cuts Stronger in half. It's funny because you have it where Doc Q thinks Stronger is dead, but you just see Stronger's body part, his lower half start moving. He's like, oh, you're okay, that's great. It was also funny because freaking Blackbeard is just sitting on the both of them, and you have it where Doc Q's like, Commodore Teach, listen, you're kind of heavy right now. Stronger's heavy, and I think so too. And Blackbeard completely ignores them. He completely ignores that. He's like, he doesn't even give a crap about it. So, whatever. You have it to where Blackbeard's falling down because of it. And you eventually have it to where Law, but I forgot what order it took place. I know I just watched the episode, but whatever. You have it to where Blackbeard, he just does his quake fruit powers and just makes the freaking ground just split apart like crazy. It's absolutely crazy what freaking Blackbeard can do now that he's got Whitebeard's devil fruit. And again, this dude's a lot more deadlier now. The fact that he's used his devil fruit probably for over 2 years to realize it, along with his dark fruit abilities. But it's just crazy. Like, he literally tears like the entire damn island apart, which is crazy. Now, before that even happens, Law basically sends his crew, and he's like, listen, go find the freaking Polar Tang, and you guys go take the fight to them. He tells Sachi and Penguin to go into the water. If I'm correct, I think they're fishmen? I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong. They were moving pretty fast in the water, and only I could see fishmen doing that. And then two, they were spitting water out. So, I think they're fishmen. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section. Very much. But it's funny because you see how in this one episode you think, okay, Law's crew is probably not as strong as Blackbeard's crew, but they look like jokes. Like, they barely did anything in the War of Onigashima. Yeah, they chipped in a bit, but you know, you wouldn't think that they're that strong. No, they're in this episode. You see how strong Law's crew can be, and they can handle each other. Sachi and Penguin in the ocean are like literally a deadly duo. Yeah, and remember, freaking Beppo is a meek, so if the moon comes out and he turns into a Sulong form, he can also be pretty damn strong too. I don't think he's gonna be turned into a Sulong form because it's an overcast sky. And then again, obviously, you got the big brute that they got that ended up blocking up one of Van Auger's gunshots when he's trying to snipe Law. And then obviously, but if anything, Law's crew is pretty respectable. Like, I can see why some One Piece fans who are just anime only are like, wow, they're actually like making Blackbeard's crew try to work to beat them. Now, maybe at full strength, probably not, because Blackbeard's got like a whole damn fleet of people. But this little group, I'm not saying they're giving Blackbeard a run for his money, but they're giving them some. The Law's crew's giving Blackbeard's crew some fits to where it's like, all right, we might need to at least step our game up and try a bit. We just can't go into this thing half-assed. You have it to where, you know, in one part of the fight, you have it to where Law does the big sword attack he does, like he did against Big Mom, and then he did like the ample shock thing, which it looks like it did some pretty damn good damage to Blackbeard too, because he had the whole thing where he gets impaled and he's like, I don't feel a damn thing. What the hell is with this, Law? And then when Law does the shock technique basically on it, you see it where Blackbeard bleeds and everything, but in reality, it looks like he wasn't really much affected by it. But he did take some pretty good damage from it. And you kind of have it to where the episode kind of ends, or that fight, I guess, ends on a cliffhanger where they're clearly clashing with each other. It looks like Law's getting the upper hand on Blackbeard. Blackbeard's holding back with his one hand, but then he uses his other hand. And usually, if one hand has basically the quick quake fruit abilities, he uses the other hand to use his dark fruit abilities, and that's where you get the next to be continued screen where the episode ends, because he starts to unleash his dark fruit abilities, and it looks like Law gets engulfed by the dark fruit abilities. And we know once Blackbeard uses that, it basically nullifies the devil fruit's ability to do much of anything. So we're left off on that cliffhanger. So we don't know if Law's okay or if Law's dead, or if he's gonna be dead the next time we see it. Other points of mentions in this episode that they do mention, we do cut over to the Marine base in New Marineford, essentially in the New World, and basically you have it to where Akainu hears of what's going on. They basically say, hey, Trafalgar Law and Blackbeard are clashing on Winter Island, and then basically Akainu's like, damn it, if only I wasn't like the Supreme Admiral, essentially, I'd probably be doing something about it, because this guy probably wants to take him down. He basically is like, well, I guess we gotta wait to see who that comes out in this conclusion this time, because, well, we already know the Marines don't like to get involved, or the world government doesn't like to get involved with the emperors, because they know if we fight an emperor that we're basically declaring war, and we can't do that at this point in time right now. So yes. And then last but not least, we get another very, very big and important part, which goes to show you, like, okay, yeah, Blackbeard's crew is for real. They really truly are trying to go after the One Piece. They're seeing their moment now that Kaido and Big Mom are basically down for the count. I guess you can say for now, because we don't really know if they're dead, but they were beaten. And we see Pudding again. Yes, we see Pudding. Shockingly enough, this time she is captured by the Blackbeard pirates. We end up finding out in a flashback scene, which actually was a cover story. In the manga, this moment was a cover story. This wasn't alluded in the manga chapters. This was just strictly a cover story to find out where you found out what happened post Whole Cake Island stuff. I forgot what chapter it was from. But basically, we find out that Van Augur and Kuzan Aokiji, yes, Aokiji, who's officially joined the Blackbeard crew, they essentially went to Whole Cake Island. Makes sense, because Big Mom has been defeated, so basically Whole Cake Island is at its weakest now. So you have it to where they end up going to Whole Cake Island. With Aokiji's ability, he just freezes. It looks like he freezes this entire. They said they were on Cacao Island, because that's where Pudding's from. In terms of Whole Cake Island. But he basically froze all of Cacao Island. You have it to where Cracker tries to fight up against the both of them, but Cracker gets absolutely destroyed instantly. And it's funny because you look back at it and you're like, oh, holy hell, it took Luffy a long ass time to beat this guy. Now, you have to factor into a fact that Whole Cake Island Luffy compared to current Luffy right now is on a completely different level than where Luffy is at now. He's got Gear 5th and he's a lot stronger. He knows Ryuo and everything. So I guarantee if you put Luffy after the Wano arc in that arc against Cracker, Luffy probably defeat Cracker with utter ease. Now that's kind of thing, and plus he didn't know at the time that Cracker looked the way he looked, and plus he was having a lot of trouble even defeating those Biscuit Warriors too. But you just have it to where Van Auger and Kuzan absolutely beat freaking Cracker with ease. Like, only a few shots, Van Auger takes down the Biscuit Warriors with ease. And then freaking Kuzan just freezes Cracker with absolute ease. I can't really say not much of anything. It's kind of shocking for Van Auger to do what he did. Not so much Aokiji because he's an admiral. So to one of the freaking sweet commanders, it's probably nothing, if anything. And if you're wondering, where's Katakuri? Where's all? They're probably still recovering from the fight against Luffy after, you know, Whole Cake Island incident and things like that. And also too, if you didn't know, I don't know if they'll ever show it in anime form, but in the manga, in the cover pages, we end up finding out that the German 66 end up going back because they end up getting captured. Sanji's siblings end up getting captured. They end up having to go back to save them, and that's why mostly Katakuri and the other characters aren't there. For some more background information for anime onlys that don't know, that's another reason. Also, too, again, the Luffy situation. Katakuri could still be proudly beaten up from the Luffy thing, so you have to wonder if Katakuri could do a good job against Aokiji. Probably not, because Aokiji could probably literally just freeze his Mochi with utter ease, probably. But I don't know. It would be an interesting fight to see, Aokiji versus Katakuri. So that would be pretty interesting. And basically, they captured Pudding, and basically we know the reason why they captured Pudding, because since Pudding is a member of the Three-Eyed Clan, the Three-Eyed Clan has a special ability to read poneglyphs. So it makes sense what Blackbeard is doing. Basically, Pudding essentially says, like, I know what you want me to do, but I'm not going to do it for you. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. She also brings up about Big Mom and everything, but she doesn't. But basically, the fact that you should be lucky that Big Mom's down for the count, otherwise she'd be coming after me, essentially. But it sounds like Pudding won't do Blackbeard's beating. We'll see how far that can go. Maybe Blackbeard does something like some sort of torture and everything to get her to do it. It makes sense in his character to do something like that, but that's basically where we're at. So you have to wonder. So does this also set up a potential this could potentially set up, again, when the Straw Hats and the Blackbeard Pirates, you know, I guess meet up and they have their fight, this could set up a reunion between Sanji and Pudding, to where maybe they can go this storyline and they can have it to where, I'm not trying to say Pudding probably joins the Straw Hat Pirates, but maybe she just joins the Straw Hat Pirates temporarily, but you can finally get your reunion between her and Sanji, even though she erased his memory of their kiss they had back at the end of the Whole Cake Island arc. But hey, that would be great, because she could be like, Sanji's come back for me, you know, and things like that. And who knows, maybe that finally is it, where they finally hook up and they actually are a couple and they're actually a thing now. So hey, that's the thing. I know when I saw the manga, it's like, oh, when we're getting Straw Hats versus Blackbeard Pirates, Sanji's gonna find out that, oh, they got Pudding. Oh, time to save my girl, essentially. And who knows what they say. Maybe you could say you're trying to freaking harm the girl that I tried to marry, essentially, or my wife, or you know how Sanji can get. So anyways, that leads us into episode 1094, where we actually don't pick up where we last left off. You're actually going to be seeing this a lot if you're an anime only, where they shift away focus from the Straw Hat crew back to the freaking world stuff, back to the Straw Hat crew, back to world events, and then blah 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 blah. So just warning you. We cut back to the Straw Hat crew, and we pick up right after when Bonnie and company see the police Kuma, and then she's like, Kuma's my father, and they're all shocked and everything. They're like, what the hell? We pick up right where we left off. We find out that Luffy did in fact save Bonnie, and they're just running away and everything, and they're all still pretty shocked, like, wait, that's your actual father? And Bonnie's like, yes, that's my dad. And then she's obviously pretty emotional because, well, that's her dad. And then too, like, what the hell happened? And then basically, so excuse me, oh my god, basically that answered the reason why, and Chopper says it like, oh, so that's why you're coming after Vegapunk, essentially. So what happens is they kind of try to detour, or kind of try to buy time against this. Kuma, but the Kuma's just using its like laser beams and it's just going through the city after them. Eventually, they go into an alleyway, but it's a dead end, and essentially, Luffy and Company are like, "Sorry, Bonnie, but cover your eyes. You may not like what you need to see, but we gotta do what we gotta do. We gotta protect ourselves." But Bonnie doesn't want that. She ends up touching them, and she ends up turning them into different ages. She ends up turning Jimbe into a kid, and just when it looks like the Pacifista, the police Kuma is going to attack him, he kind of just deactivates his programming and basically sees that, oh, it's not who I was chasing because Jinbe's a different age, and then he just walks off. We end up finding out what Luffy and Chopper's age are, and they're basically old, elderly people, I guess in their 70s. That's what Luffy was, so maybe for Chopper that would be the thing. And it's funny because in Luffy's description they're like, oh, Luffy 70 years old, and they're like they like put it in parentheses like in another timeline or something like that, which if you guys don't know, especially if you're anime only, Oda actually did drawings of the Straw Hat crew when they were in when they get older. Like he did him when they were in their like he did like their age descriptions when they're like in their 40s, and I think around like their 60s or mid to late 60s / 70s, and he does it to where, oh, there's a good timeline and then there's a bad timeline, and when with like the bad timeline, they basically look old and decrepit, and I think that's kind of what this Luffy is like, kind of looking like an old decrepit Luffy basically at 70 years of age, which I think it's absolutely cool. If you haven't seen those images, please do go see them. You can just like Google it. They're pretty cool, and it's funny because like in some cases the Straw Hats look exactly like probably no different than they do, if anything. They just look like they're a lot older. Like I know for Luffy, you know, in the good timeline, like when he's like in his 40s or 50s, he just has like basically a little bit of a beard stubble basically, so that's kind of the thing. And it's funny because when you look at Nami and Robin and they're like age 40 and 60 ages, they still look hot, so that's kind of the thing right then and there. What happens is they end up going through like this wall which they tease in a few minutes with the other Straw Hat crew members, and what is it, basically they continue to have this talk about Kuma and everything, and they're basically like, oh, well, Jimbe basically tells Bonnie like, hey, no disrespect, but I was told that Kuma was like some grave tyrant and he was some overruling like king, and the world government like that, and he basically joined. But Bonnie kind of takes offense to this, almost slashes them like with this lightsaber that she picked up from this garbage heap, which is like a bunch of Vegapunk's like old like inventions. And basically she says, my father hated the world government. He would never join them. Even if it did benefit him, he hated the world government. So that's kind of the thing. Also too, they turn Luffy and Chopper turn back to normal. Jimbe is like, can you turn me back to my regular age, please? So that's kind of the thing right then and there. And that's where we kind of leave off with Luffy and company. We cut back to the other Straw Hat members. They end up flying to Egghead. Then they find out like, oh, how the giant robot's flying because of anti-gravity and everything. They get a good look at the ground area of Egghead. I forgot what phase they called, the Fabro phase. And basically Lilith says that, yeah, that's where all the workers and other scientists live on. And she also makes a mention like, oh yeah, your captain's down there too, so you have nothing else to worry about. So the other Straw Hats are pretty relieved to hear that Luffy's fine. They end up going up to the Labo phase, which is up in the sky, basically in the top part of the island. And when they get there, it's surrounded by clouds that basically they did the research and they did like testing and basically made it as if it was from the Sky Island. So I think that's pretty cool. It's like kind of a nice homage and everything. And obviously the Straw Hats outside of Frankie and Brooke know what it's like to be on a Sky Island. So Frankie's like, oh, I've never been on this before. They end up going to the lab so they can go meet, I guess, the real Vegapunk. But Brooke and Zoro are actually going to stay behind because they're like, well, Brooke ends up asking Zoro like, "Hey, why did you decide not to go with them?" And he's like, "We're on a government island. Who's gonna be the person to break them out if we get into trouble?" Makes sense. Hopefully, just the thing is, you hope that Zoro can find his way. So, anyways, you have it to where the Straw Hats change into their egghead designs. Nothing much. It's funny. Sanji makes like a funny comment where he still calls Frankie a pervert and whatever he wears. Sanji also did try to like go into where Nami and Robin were going to, and basically to see them change, of course. And then obviously Nami's like, you ain't coming up in here, sorry. So yes, they come out, they wear their outfits. Nami and Robin, of course, smoking hot. What else can we say? It doesn't matter what they wear, they will always stay smoking hot. This is probably in terms of arcs, this is probably one of my favorite character designs for both the characters, especially Robin. Especially, they just went like, all right, we don't give a crap. We're gonna give Robin like this BDSM type of gear. We already gave her that stuff in the freaking end of the Wano arc in the Raid of Onigashima stuff. We'll just give her like this punk rocker BDSM type of stuff. Again, snack. All right. Enough about me simping over Nami and Robin. They follow Lilith. They grow through the walls, which is funny because, again, you have Robin making her dark, demonic freaking comments. Like when you have it to where they're all shocked about Sanji sticking his wall through the head, through the holographic door. What is it? You have it to where Robin just comes up. She's like, well, if his head was cut off, there would be a lot of blood somewhere. And it sounds like, Robin, you need to chill with this BS. I don't know what's up with Robin and her dark personality in terms of like this very gory detail stuff, like this TMI stuff that I'm like, you're like waifu material, but you're a little bit too damn dark, Robin. Calm down now. Calm down. They walk through the doors, and then they end up getting to this silo area, this area with these different doors, and they end up actually seeing Jimbe. But Jimbe that looks like, well, what we saw the Boa Hancock and the Mihawk version on Amazon Lily looked like. Wings, brownish skin, fire in the back, and can use laser beams. So it's another Pacifista / Seraphim, which they pointed out at the top of the silo that he was under. So yes, and it looks like next week the Straw Hats potentially could be tricked, and they will be going up against this Pacifista / Seraphim Jimbe. So yes. Anyways, that's basically all I gotta say about the last 2 weeks of One Piece. Good episodes, great episodes. Again, I'm enjoying the stuff we're getting for the anime version of the Egghead arc. And I can't wait to see what's especially going on currently in the manga right now. I can't wait to see that stuff animated. So then I just can't wait to talk about it. But we got 2 great episodes. Obviously the first episode I talked about was a lot better than this episode because we got some action. But yeah. Anyways, I'm gonna get out of here. Catch you guys in the next video. Till then, guys, see you guys later. Till then, guys, peace.